Why 82% of home buyers over the last couple years had at least one regret from buying a home. So a recent survey was done by Clever Real Estate. They're like a home buying advocate website that is well regarded. They did a survey of 920 people. Now that doesn't sound like a lot, 920 people. But it's a good sampling. I don't know how they gathered the information, random. I'm not really sure, but I think that the things that they found out are worth going over. Actually, a really good learning lesson here. So if you're going to be buying a home in the near future and you don't want to make mistakes and have regrets like these home buyers did, then you need to listen up because I've got some good details for you today. Now, in this survey of the 920, about half of them were buyers over the last 2 years, and then half of the people were future buyers. We're going to go today and concentrate on the half that were buying in the past. Okay. So we're going to put the up on the screen here. I'm going to put the chart. Actually, I love charts. I think they're really good to look at. We're going to have all these resources. If you're watching on whatever social media platform, we'll put it in the description or pin it in the comments for afterward, depending on where you're looking. So too much, the number one reason, 28% of the people said, oh, there's too much maintenance in buying a home or buying this home, a home. I don't really know. 24% said the home doesn't meet their needs. Third reason, we just spent too much, 23%. So a fourth of the people said we spent too much. The first five are pretty neck and neck in the number of people, by the way. Interest rate too high, bought too quickly. The agent pressured me to make the offer. I thought that was an interesting one. And then I don't like the location. I don't like the home. I don't like the location. So we're going to hit all of these in a little bit more detail. And I'm going to give you some really power tips on some things to help you out, especially if you've never bought a home before, that can really help you overcome these things so you too do not fall into this trap of feeling regret. Buying a home is the number one way, I believe, to build wealth. I've been owning homes for more than 25 years. I've helped thousands of people buy homes. And when they come back to me the second time, their house is always worth more. I think back actually in 2008, when there was that huge mortgage meltdown, I did see a few people and did have some clients where their house was worth less, but it's very, very rare. Okay. So homeownership is amazing. And I'm a proponent of it. Buying something that appreciates in value year after year, it's a good thing. So let's go over these traps. Let's go over these things one by one. So the first one, too much maintenance. Okay, so I have a couple suggestions here. Get an inspection report. Now, almost everybody does, but getting a reasonable, you do get what you pay for. So I just want to pause here really quick. I too would want to save money on anything that I could, but inspections probably isn't one of them. So definitely get recommendations from the realtor, recommendations from friends, anyone that's bought a house, on an inspector. If someone is cheaper than everybody else by a ton, you just want to make sure that you might understand why. Maybe try to Google review them. If there's not any reviews, I'd be a little suspicious. Like the inspection report and the company doing this is super, super important, but you want to make sure you get an inspection. And I'd spend a few extra $100 on it if that's what it costs to make sure you get someone that's reputable. They have reviews. They've got a good reputation. It is worth a ton, by the way. Don't cut corners on the inspection. That's what's going to lead to all these maintenance things later on that you weren't aware of or you didn't realize, because at the contract, you can negotiate with the seller. We're going to get to that in just a minute. This is where realtors really are the key. Realtors are used to helping you navigate through this inspection process. Okay. I'm also going to put, there's a tool that you actually, like, let's say that you get the inspection report and there's like 20 things, okay, that are wrong with it. I'm actually going to put, a friend of mine has this great website. His name is Brant Phillips. He's a property flipper. He's an investor, and he's built this really cool tool. that will help you input some items, and it gives you like, bam, this is how much something like that would cost. So I was Googling this morning and preparing for this, and I saw there's several websites like that. So all you have to do is go online, say, repair estimator, and I'm sure there's many, many tools, but I like Brands. It's super easy to use. It's free. So download it if you like, but that's very, very important, is to understand what these things might cost and negotiate with the seller. Negotiate at the time of the contract. The first week of the contract usually is the time that you have to negotiate. Again, this is where a realtor can be super crucial with helping you understand what's what. So that's hopefully going to keep you out of the trap of too much maintenance. But I'm going to clue you guys in. Yes, every house, I don't care if it's brand new construction or however old, every house at some point is going to have maintenance. So that is something that you need to be aware of and budget for. I'd say I'd budget a couple thousand, depending on how big your house is. Okay. But just kind of the average house, $300,000 to $400,000 starter home. I would average a couple thousand a year for repairs, depending on how old the home is. Okay. But I would estimate that you're going to have some things. So you want to keep some money on the side, but remember, this pales in comparison to the appreciation of your property, which we're going to go through in a minute of like, how do I even know what that is? But yeah, you're going to have some maintenance, but you have some maintenance, but your house is appreciating up here. So there's still a gap in between those two numbers. Okay. So we're going to go to the second one. And that is that the house didn't, in the survey, the results, 23% of the people said the house didn't meet all of my needs. So I think on this, it's important to know that this does vary person to person. So needs according to who? Obviously, according to you. A great idea is to write down before you even start, what are your needs? What would you compromise on and what you wouldn't? Okay. So when you're going to a house, after each house, I would literally get a piece of paper, like a piece of computer paper. I'm old school, so I like paper. Okay. But somewhere put pros and cons. And I would do that on every single house that you see, and really listen to your intuition on this. What are you compromising on? What are your must-haves? And stick to it. There are some people that have to move out of urgency for whatever reason, whether it's school, getting kids in schools, or getting kids out of schools, or retiring, or, there are reasons that people are in more of a hurry to buy and sell than others, but really listen to your instinct on this. The other thing I'll say is, especially if you're a first time buyer, maybe even, or a second time, usually I think people own probably 3 or 4 homes in their lifetime. So if it's your first or second time, this isn't going to be your forever home. Does it meet your basic needs? It may not be your dream home, but it's not going to be your forever home. And remember, homes appreciate. So I'm going to give you actually an example today. I'm going to put something up here on the screen. Let's see, what did I do? Oh, nope, right here. So let's say your house is worth let's say you buy it for $400,000, and average appreciation for that year is 4%. Now that's a really conservative appreciation. There's some places, some areas of the country that appreciate a little more. And there may be one year where it appreciates a little less, maybe 1 or 2%, but let's just say on average 4%, which I really, from my experience, at least here in Texas, is conservative. 4% of 400,000 is $16,000. Now, remember, just a few minutes ago, I mentioned that let's say $2,000 or $3,000 a year you've gotten maintenance. So even then, $2,000, $3,000, $14,000. The downside is that you don't have access to this money right away, but you have access to it in the future when you sell. So for those of you that the home doesn't meet all your needs, let's say that it meets most of your needs, you're in it for a few years, it's appreciating, let's say 14,000 a year. Let's say it just consistently goes 4%. And 4 or 5 years from now, you sell the home, you've got, you know, $60,000-$70,000 to help you put down on a bigger house that will meet your needs. So that's what people do. They move up over time. They'll live in a house. Actually, the average home owned is 7 to 8 years. That's kind of just a national average. So you build equity in one and use that equity now to put as a down payment on the other. So for those of you that the home doesn't meet your needs, does it meet enough of them? Or can you do some, actually my last comment is, could you do some improvements and spruce things up? Are there some simple, not too costly things that could be added to the home that could meet your needs? Is that the case? But then of course you need money to do that. So that is a whole other equation. But just trying to give you some ideas there. And I think all in all, when you're buying the home, that pros and cons list is really super, super, super important. Okay. Listen to your instinct on that. Now, number 3, the third thing, spend too much. So 23% of the people, almost a fourth of the people said, hey, we spent too much. So here's my recommendations on that. Make sure you do your budget. I will, we're at whatever platform you're watching on, DM me, message me, whatever you need to do, and just say budget. Jen, I need a copy of your budget. And I will send you a simple Excel form that you can put your expenses in, right? Like, what are your survival expenses? So I'll never forget the first time Fernando, my husband, and I, we lived, our first place was just a 2-bedroom condo. Okay. And we like tripled the size of the house on the second one, but we almost didn't, because Fernando said, Sunshine, you're like doubling Sunshine. I'm Sunshine. He said, you were like doubling our price range. What is going on with you? If you want that house, because it was perfect for me, okay? It met all of my needs. I was like, I have to have this place. But it literally was. It was double our price range. He said, okay, I need cuts. I need you to cut from the budget. And I just want to tell you, within 2 to 3 days, I pulled cuts out of our budget like you would not believe. It was important to me. So I really looked and I wrote everything down, like even the money I was wasting on little itty bitty things. I mean, y'all, in today, and this was 20 years ago, okay? But in today's age, like all you have to do is go to your Apple iCloud and cut all the little things that we're spending $2, $3, $4 on. And I mean, I bet you could come up with $50 a month super, super quick. So budgeting, you know, when you're getting into a home, making sure that you're really paying attention to what this potential monthly payment is, and make sure that you can afford it long term. I would definitely cut some expenses to give yourself a cushion, just for some breathing room. That's a good, good word of advice. Also get advice from someone you trust. If someone trusts on your finances, maybe you have a financial planner, maybe a parent, a sibling, someone that you can really confide in and say, hey, would you do this? What should I look out for? So the survey didn't specify exactly what spending too much meant, but that's what I'm assuming. Spent too much could be spent too much monthly. It could also mean spent too much with down payment, etc. A lot of people need down payment assistance. I actually saw a stat the other day that said that of first-time home buyers, there were like 47, I'm trying to remember, I think it was like 40 to 50% got down payment assistance of some kind. So they could be thinking spent too much financially. If that's the case, remember, you can get sellers or try to negotiate for a seller to pay your closing costs. And again, I'm gonna put another plug in there for realtors, and there's no realtor paying me for this. Okay. I just have years and years of experience working with realtors, and they are crucial in helping buyers understand how they can negotiate with a seller to try to get as much money as they can to help pay for closing costs. Okay. So this can really help you take the edge off when you're getting in the home. So the next thing in the survey, interest rates too high. Yes, the interest rates are high. So a couple of ideas for you to think about. Number one, in 12 to 18 months, you're probably going to be refinancing. Okay. I know that seems like a long time away. Probably you were convinced of that and believed that when you bought the house, but you still have to afford the payment now, right? So those cuts that we talked about, budgeting, will come into play. A few months ago, I went on a rampage and I cut expenses, and my husband is actually a little perturbed with me because I cut ESPN. Okay. Like, we only need ESPN like twice a year when that special whatever is on. He's like, I can't believe you cut ESPN. I'm like, you know what? You can just go down the street to a bar. I'm not going to pay for the extra cable. And he got so upset. But that's an example, is I cut something that we really, really don't need. Okay. For all you fans out there that love ESPN, so sorry that I'm mentioning this, but for me and my family, it was something that we did. So what's something that you could live without or make alternate arrangements to go see, and that could cut your budget? So for interest rates high that affect your payment, cutting expenses could be really crucial. Now on refinancing, I want to show you just a quick, quick grid here. Let's put it up here. Let's put the slide. Priscilla, if you could put it back up, that'd be great. Let's pretend that your loan is $300,000 and you're like, when am I going to be able to refi? So whatever your rate is now, just assume, let's say there was a 1% drop in interest rates. So if you're at 7 and it went to 6, or if you're at 8 and it went to 7, just take 1% of your $300,000 loan, and that gives you $3,000. This is just a good, quick, easy gauge to understand how much you would save. So $3,000 divided by 12 months means you'd save $250 a month. That could really take the edge off. So, do pay attention to the news. Do keep in touch maybe with your original lender. I know we do that, keep in touch with clients we've closed in the past. So there could really be some good savings for you here in the very near future when rates rates are going to estimated to trickle down in 2025 and 2026. Okay. So help could be on the horizon, but budgeting and cutting expenses could help you now on this interest rate too high. My payment's too high. I get it. I hear you. But remember, your house is still appreciating behind the scenes. That's the good news, is that extra payment that's over and above what you really want to spend is going towards your nest egg. So it's not money wasted. Okay. Help is on the way when you can refinance in the future. The other thing, just quickly on this, if you're in your, if you're finding yourself wanting to change your situation or needing to change your situation and buy, closing cost assistance from the seller. I mentioned it before. It's really important. I want to mention it again. It's all up to a negotiation. It's not guaranteed that a seller will do it, but if you give them the right price, you help them a little bit, they help you a little bit. And again, this is where realtors could really be crucial in helping you negotiate, knowing what's the average, like what are houses even going for in this area? Am I offering too little, too much? You definitely don't want to offer too much, right? But how do you know what too much is? So realtors can be crucial on that. Let me hear your questions. I've talked about a couple of these things so far. Thank you to my friend Mark, who is commenting. I think he's watching me on YouTube. Hey, Mark. He said, last few years, the market was moving super fast. True. And many buyers felt rushed and maybe did not think through all of these regrets. You bring up a good point, Mark, because this survey that was done, it just said the last couple years, 22 and 23. And so it didn't really specify, but that's a good point. Things have moved fast because there's been not a ton of inventory. People still want to move their situation. They still want to buy into the American dream and have a place that they can call their own home. But there hasn't been a ton of inventory because sellers, they're hoarding their houses because they've got 3-4%. Like they don't want to go anywhere. They're like, why would I? They only move if they super have to. Okay. Super, super have to. I actually have a past client and he has 4 kids now. He didn't before. And they live in like a two to 3 bedroom, like little bungalow. He's like, I have got to get out of here. I have 2.75 on my rate, but I don't care. I'm going crazy. Like we have to move. Okay. That's an extreme example, but there's some of you that are in that position. The other thing that I'll say, another reason from the survey is that people say that they bought too quickly. I get it. You know, again, inventory, you have to move, possibly by necessity, school districts, price range, getting your payment down, moving closer to work. We've got people that move because of work. Like they're like, I'm sick of driving an hour. If that's you, don't worry. This is not your forever house. Remember, people move every 7 to 8 years. Buying quickly, for all the other reasons we've talked about, work on your budget. Work on maybe sprucing up the home to make it a little more homey. You know, a little bit can go a long way if you know, just go to the home store near you and buy some stuff. You know, look on Pinterest for some ideas of sprucing things up. A little paint and a few decorations for whatever your style is can really go a long way to creating an environment. Actually, plants. My husband loves plants and it really does make a difference. Now, I, on the other hand, I like to look at them, but I don't like to take care of them. So if you're not one of those people, if you're like me, maybe do fake plants, but plants can really spruce up. So if you feel that you bought too quickly and you're not liking your environment, try to spruce it up. If you bought too quickly and you feel like you're, you know, overextended, try to see what you can do to cut costs. Okay. Really work on that budget. I've also seen some people get second jobs just to take the edge off to help them save a little bit more for the monthly payment. Okay. So these are all just some ideas of what we're seeing, you know, people doing. Okay. Another reason, I thought this one was interesting, but I can see that. They felt that the agent pressured them to make the offer. So just like with anything in any industry, just like in lending of what I do, there's some better loan officers than others. There are some people that just want to make the sale. When you go to the car, there's some people that just want to make the sale. Hopefully you don't encounter one of those people. I am not one of those people. I actually turn people away sometimes and say, hey, you need to wait a year. But you know, make sure that you're with the right agent. Don't just go with the first one. It's easy to want to see a house. You feel that you're in a hurry and you just pick an agent because it was convenient. But I would take the time and really say, okay, what does my instinct tell me? Are they responsive? Do I feel that I can trust them? You know, when I ask them questions, are they, you know, educating me? You know, trust, responsiveness, them being genuine. You can usually tell when people are being sincere. And so really listen to your instinct in the beginning of a relationship on how you feel with them. And if you don't like the way that you feel with this person, you need to go get another person. You know, you just say, hey, this is not working out. I'd like to change realtors. Some people don't even tell them, but I think that's the nice thing to do. Just say, hey, we're going a different route. Change. Get a referral from a trusted friend, a colleague, etc. This is the person that is going to be helping you negotiate and helping you not leave money on the table. So super important. Don't feel that you have to go with the first realtor that you see. Make sure you really take the time to develop and take the time to have a conversation with them. If they're wanting to meet you and let's go for coffee and really talk about you, they're trying to make a relationship with you. This is not a TikTok video, y'all. You can't get to know someone in 10 seconds and then they're going to go help you buy a house. You need to be prepared to meet them, talk to them, let them hear your needs, hear your concerns. This is my advice. I've helped, God, I'm almost at 4,700 people in my 29 years. Like I've seen thousands of people go through this process, and the ones that take shortcuts and are too busy and, oh no, I don't have time to do this, and just show me the house and whatever. Don't be that person. Be the person that gets to know this person that is going to be showing you houses and negotiating on your behalf. Okay. So super, super important. The last one that I'll go over is they didn't like the location of the home. They didn't like the location, or they didn't like the home. So I mentioned before, and I'd like to bring it up again, about the pro-con list. So again, everybody's got different pressures, different timelines, different needs. After you see the listing, taking a notepad, I got my notepad here, and just doing pros on one side and cons on the other. And that way you can go back to it. It seems so simple, but it's hard to do. You're just jamming through these listings and the kids are screaming and I've got to get back to work. It's my lunch hour. Like, it's hard to remember to do that. So do that. Really know what your non-negotiables are, and research, research the area. Different things are important to different people as far as different, how close are the schools? How close is entertainment? How close is it to my work? I suggest driving on the weekend to the neighborhood, see what it's like. Driving when it's raining. Driving in traffic to know what it's like at traffic times. So really taking the time to do those things before you go to a location. And it's especially, actually, those of you that are changing cities, maybe some of the people surveyed were from different cities and they didn't like the location. I actually usually tell people coming from another city, hey, get here, rent for 6 months, and then see what you like. How do you know where your job's going to be? Or how do you know you're going to like this area? Because you're just not even from here. And so maybe those were the people that answered this question. I don't really know. The survey didn't say, so it's a little misleading. But I think it's a valid point to definitely bring up, is driving at those different times of the day and of the week, and raining, not raining. I think it really, really does make a difference to take the time to do that. So I'm going to address one last thing. And thanks if you're still with us. I really thank you. Please subscribe, wherever you are watching me. But my YouTube channel is where I release the most. Loan with Jen on YouTube. That's where Mark's watching us today. Marky, thank you so much. Love you, bro. He's a good friend. I release stuff all the time because I want to bring you real facts, no BS. Now, the last real fact that I will bring you was an interesting chart of why people felt that the process was harder than expected. And so I'm really speaking to those of you that might have heard from friends like, oh my God, this was so hard. The process was just a drag. There was so much paperwork for whatever reason. So I found this really interesting. Here's the top reasons. They exceeded their budget. We've talked about this. The interest rate was too high. Low home inventory, not much to choose from. These are all really real concerns, y'all. Super real. Too much competition. Yes, there still are, multiple offers on stuff in certain neighborhoods. Struggled to get financing. They had to negotiate. Some of these are overlapping. Okay. And then unhelpful agent. So these reasons why people didn't have a good experience also overlap with the regrets that they have. You don't have to be in this category. This does not happen to you. There's really I think there's one simple task that can help, not alleviate all of these, but can really help. Get pre-approved early. Talk to a lender and then a realtor like 6 to 12 months out. I think 1 year out is not too far away to talk about a plan. Like, this is the most important purchase of your lifetime. How many times in your life are you going to spend $300,000, $400,000, $500,000? Literally. You take time to investigate. Like we investigate restaurants and how many stars and where am I going to go? Like we take more time to investigate restaurants than we might spending time to set the stage and get prepared for buying a house. So you're here, which is great. And I appreciate you watching. But I suggest that you get a referral in your local state area to a lender, get pre-approved, talk to them about what your budget needs to be, what your savings need to be, what down payment assistance programs there are that can help you. If you need a realtor, that lender probably knows a ton of realtors in that area and can recommend you to someone. This is going to really help you by just being more prepared. And then the budgeting tip, I can't say that enough, really looking at your budget. Remember to DM or message me the word budget. I will send you this link to a Google Doc that's a budget that just can help you put stuff on paper so that you know what's what. Real facts, no BS every week. Look forward to talking to you soon. Thanks for joining us today. See ya.